Hello, and a big welcome back to all my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber, what's wrong with you? Right. Today, I want to start a new series which is about learning a language on a budget. Now, I've done a lot of research on this topic, and when it comes to learning on a budget, most of the discussions, especially on the internet, revolve around the plethora of free apps that you can use to learn a language. But what often gets overlooked is the strategic planning and an actual budget in language acquisition. So in a language acquisition, just like any other skill, you require an investment of two things: time and money. Now in this first episode, we're going to delve deep into the art of crafting budgets for both time and money that pave the way for effective language learning. Okay? Later episodes, we will talk about the plethora of things that you can get for free, but now we just want to focus on a budget. So finances are the cornerstone of your linguistic journey, right? You start by navigating the financial landscape because it's not all about linguistic proficiency. It's about real world pounds and pence. How many pennies are you willing to invest in your language learning on a daily, weekly, monthly, or annual basis? So, should you save up for an extensive course of, in a university, or should you just allocate a small amount of money each week for a subscription to a website? So you just need to map out this sort of financial terrain. So let's work out how you would do this, right? And it's really simple. It's not difficult to do. The first thing you need to do is to calculate your resources. So you need to determine the sum that you can realistically spend in a year on language learning materials over the course of the year. Then you need to break that down into a monthly breakdown and distribute it across the months so that you have an even amount. But remember that some months, like December, you might not be able to spend any money. You might have Christmas to pay for. So you need to work all that out in the monthly budget. And then you need to create budget categories. So these are things like monthly subscription, textbooks, educational materials, media, tutoring, classes, etc. And then you need to allocate your budget against these categories to create a sort of a roadmap of your language learning investment. So once you have allocated the money monthly, you then need to start tracking it and keep a meticulous record of your transactions and how much you spent in order to stay within your financial compass that you have to learn a language. Now, while we're on the topic of money, I'd just like to say that I don't make any money from YouTube, and I don't have a Patreon account or any of that sort of stuff, but I am an author, and my books are available on all the main internet bookstores: Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Apple, all that sort of stuff. And you can check out the links to my books from my website, xgipublishing.com, and they will lead you to these well-known, renowned internet booksellers. So if you would like to support me and the channel, consider buying a book. It's a win-win situation where you get a great book and support the channel, and obviously I get a bit of money to continue doing this at the same time. Now, let's move on to the next bit of budgeting, and that is budgeting your time. Because time is worth more than money, because you can't save it, you can't swap it, you can't exchange it, you can't get more of it. Everybody gets the same amount. Time is the most precious commodity. So your journey isn't dictated by your finances. Time is the silent partner, and managing it is crucial to you and how you develop. So you need a daily schedule to how much can you dedicate to language learning. So let's look at the days and nights and allocate time across the various pursuits. Now the thing is, here we're not doing a yearly allocation and breaking up. We're actually looking at the days and then trying to go up from there. So the first thing to do is to look at the amount of time you can realistically dedicate to language learning in a day. Then we need to take these amounts and divide it across the weekdays and the weekends. So you need to recognize that, there's an ebb and flow of time. You may have more time on the weekends or less time on the weekends. So you just need to work this out and allocate it appropriately. Then, based on that, you need to assign the times to the same categories that you did for your financial plan. So subscriptions, books, textbooks, reading literature or media or whatever it was your categories were, and allocate time against them for the week. Then, very important, put those time allocations into your calendar as an actionable item in your day. Scheduling, for example, Monday evening reading in the target language. Because if you don't schedule it, you're probably not going to do it. And you need reminders, and you need to, basically create this budget. Now, with all budgeting, you have to be adaptable, okay? You need to embrace some flexibility and acknowledge, the dynamic nature of life and language learning, and allow for adjustments in response to, changing circumstances or unseen events or whatever. And you need to periodically reassess what you're doing. So revisit your budget plans, both financial and time, and ensure that they align with what you need, because your learning needs evolve over time. You are better at some things than you thought, or you're worse than others that you thought, etc. So you just reassess all the time. And you channel your resources toward the most impactful learning activities to minimize the effect on your budget. For example, in a normal budget, if you're drinking too much coffee at Starbucks, you might drop that in order to save money. So look at doing a regular evaluation of your skills, consistently assess your progress, and then recalibrate your goals and your budget in order to keep the momentum up, right? So when you change, you need to be dynamically adaptive, because as your language skills evolve, your learning strategy needs to change as well, because when you started, you didn't know what progress you were going to make, or how quickly you would do something, or how slowly something might progress. You might discover that monthly subscription to the website is no longer helping you, and you need to change it and adapt it, and get a different textbook or whatever. So you just need to periodically reassess it and reassess your budget, and I would suggest that you do this monthly. So take these budgets not as a sort of a constraint, but as a compass that steers you towards your goals at the end. And making these investments, because that's what they are, an investment of time and money, can yield the dividend of knowing a language. Now, you're not going to know the future, so I would plan for spending at least a year learning. I did a video on study time calculators. You can have a look at that, but you need to spend at least a year's budget to learn a language. So budget out a year's worth of time and money to get resources and all of that sort of stuff. Now, in the rest of this series, we're going to talk about where to get low-cost resources or free resources, this plethora of stuff that everybody talks about. I'll cover that as well. But I'll also cover a lot of other topics related to learning things on a budget, like how to learn more efficiently, how to learn more quickly, just tips and tricks and things, many of which I've covered on my autodidactic podcast for self-learners. So if you've listened to that, you might already know some of this stuff. But stick with me. We'll go through the whole learning on a budget thing and approach it holistically and try and work out, how to do it realistically, holistically, and get you to where you want to be as a fluent speaker of a target language. Okay, now that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.